I'm Emily B. Riddle. I am a romance writer. I'm indie published author, and I'm here to talk to you about what it's like to do all of these things while being a late bloomer in life. But I can hear you saying, Emily, you look so young. What do you mean late bloomer? Well, of course, everything is relative in life. So take this with wherever you stand in your own particular position. But I didn't write and publish my first book until after I was 40, meaning that I had had this desire to write all of my life, but didn't follow through on it until I was maybe roughly at the halfway point. We'll see, God willing and the creek don't rise. Let me walk you through a few points of my own experience on my way to indie authorhood. I was a young reader. I was a young reader because I was a terrible sleeper. It is a talent that has followed me throughout my life. I know, it's so exciting. But I had to take a nap in kindergarten. I remember this, and I could not sleep. So I would settle my little cot in next to the bookcase. I would sneak out a book, and I would just read through nap time. Being a big reader turned into being a big writer, because what I really wanted to do before I think it even had this name was write fanfic. What fanfic, you might be asking? Oh, the Babysitter's Club. That's all I wanted to do was write Babysitter's Club fanfic. This moved on to writing Nancy Drew fanfic, Babysitter's Club at one point, then Nancy Drew, then Sweet Valley High. And I find myself, I would write, my leading girls always were had long, dark, swishy hair and names like Vanessa. This is what I imagined the heroine of a story should look like, right? She should be tall and slim with stunning, thick black hair and have a unique and fun name. That's what I was into. And then over the next few decades, I was reading, I was writing, and whatever I was writing, there was a thread that connected it. See if you can find it. I wrote a historical fiction of friends coming together at the turn of the 20th century, early 1900s, and there's been this big falling out, and they're coming together for a weekend to figure out what happened and why. And throughout that story, there was romance. And then I wrote a cozy mystery with dogs. You'll learn on this channel, I love dogs, particularly this ridiculous dog I have now named Romeo. But in this book, it was a cozy mystery. It was a romance throughout. And then we moved on to some chicklet, as it was called, in early to mid-aughts. It's a terrible name, but it's sort of meant to imply women's romance, but with also, depth involved. So I did write my own of that, with the main character taking Taekwondo classes. That was how she really found her voice at her office and with her family, and again, with the romance that runs through it. So you're seeing it, right? The thing that connects all these stories together is there was always a romance, just all the way through, with a big, lovely, happily ever after, and a happy kiss at the end. Fast forward ahead, I'm 40. It's COVID. I have a baby who's a few months old, and I'm part of a membership writing group where it's mostly nonfiction writers, but they have decided to do a Write Your Novel November for the fiction writers in the group. And I think I love writing fiction. I used to write fiction all the time. I'm going to do this. I will also make the point, it is not the group you are thinking of, right? They were inspired by this group. It was not part of that, though. So I managed to write a really messy manuscript in a month. And then I take the next 2 years of figuring out how in the heck to make it good and publish it. So from there, First Comes Love is born. I love this book so much. I had 3 stories come into my brain around the same time. 3 different women. We have Andy here, we have Iris, and we have Liz. And they were all just sort of marching around in my head. And somehow it just made sense that this was the order they needed to go. And what I created was my Kissing series. It is a closed door, pretty tightly closed, I'll tell you. So know that in advance. I don't know that I'll always keep it quite that shut. But in these books, for the most part, until we get to maybe here, super, super locked down. But we have the stories of these different women with these different fellas. They're all taking place in the same small southern town, pretty progressive place because that's the sort of place I would like to live, set in the mountains in Appalachia. Love it. Again, I live in the mountains in Appalachia. So I have my lovely characters. And what runs through these stories, what is the thing that's going to connect them all, is they are all women who are over the age of 35, who've experienced some kind of heartbreak and or disappointment, and who still find love later in life. It's a thing. You can do that. So I make the move from swishy-haired detectives to real-life women who find real-life romance. I myself went through a very difficult early period of my 30s and then came to meet my second and now husband, and we have a lovely real-life romance where we bicker and argue and have to make an effort to watch our streaming shows together. But at the same time, we love each other, and it's a great thing. And that's the kind of story and inspiration I want to bring to women who are maybe a little older, whose brains have been fully developed for some time, who've maybe experienced great heartache or loss, and who are hopeful that they could find love again. Or women who just are like, hey, I want to read about myself at this age in the thick of work and kids and trying to eat enough protein and also drink my water. And what is my skincare routine? And how much did I actually sleep last night? And also, am I keeping up with my friends? Do I know what's happening in their lives? It's a lot. And it's fun to see ourselves reflected back to us. What you're going to find in my books are going to be women who are in their mid-30s and beyond, who are finding believable, swoony love stories, who have good friends, right? They have fully developed personalities. They have something they're going to need to learn, and they're going to have a lot of heart. So you can find this entire series, First Comes Love, Then Comes Marriage, Here Comes Baby, on Amazon and in Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. You can also find them at some local indie bookstores if you happen to be in Knoxville, Tennessee, like Union Avenue Books, at our book truck, Good Girl Books. We have a wonderful romantasy fantasy store called Fable Hollow, and in Clinton, Tennessee at Cork and Cover. What I find here on this channel is going to be me talking with you about things like writing romance, reading romance, what makes a great leading lady, why are we so mean to our leading ladies, and why do we need them to be so perfect and sometimes not very interesting? What do we think about the men? Do they always have to have a six-pack? These are the kinds of conversations. This is what I want to dig in on here. What are we looking for? How much does it need to look like real life? How much does it need to be fantasy? What do we put together to really make a book where we're just like, mwah, delicious? Also, we can talk about indie authorship. I am still learning this. It feels like a big learning curve. I will say there are so many good resources to learn how to publish as an indie. I'm going to link things here that have helped me. I think if I give you one piece of advice at all in this video, besides maybe don't name your main characters Vanessa, but the piece of advice I would give you is find a few voices that you trust and just dig in on their work. It's so easy to very quickly get pulled away, have kind of a squirrel, like, oh, and then this, and then I got this email, and then you really can't put much of anything into practice. I will be sharing some of my favorite resources here that I have used when it comes to plotting, writing better, marketing, tools I've used that have been super useful on the indie publishing path. So it's just going to be a lovely little charcuterie board of let's talk books we love. Let's talk what makes good characters. Let's talk how you put those characters on the page. Let's talk about how you get them out there in the world. What does that look like? Yeah, and maybe we'll get into fun stuff like also skincare or lipstick. Those would be small. I'm not here to discuss those things. But that's the goal. I hope you'll hit the follow button and stick around to see what comes next. I do plan to post once a week and to have shorts available a couple times a week maybe. You can also follow me on Instagram at Emily B. Riddle Writes. That'll be below. You can also find my Substack, same name, Emily B. Riddle Writes, and I'll publish one of those maybe twice a month if I'm on top of things. along with finding my books. I would love for you to go find my books and read them. I would love for you to follow me in those places. I would love for you to leave me a comment to tell me about something that you did a little later in life that's maybe unexpected.